the whole branch of charities, Thomas Krishna, His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhakti Caitanya Swami, Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. ISKCON Swangracharya, Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Anantagari Vaishnava Vrinda ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur ki Jai. Prem Sagahas Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasti Gaura Bhakta Vrinda ki Shri Radha Krishna Gopinath Shankar Radhakund Giri Govardhan ki Shri Vrindavan Dham ki Shri Mayapur Dham ki Shri Jagannath Puri Dham ki Shri Panchatattva ki Shri Panchatattva ki Shri Panchatattva ki Srila Prabhupada ki Shri Harinam Sankirtan ki Shri Hare Krishna Mahamantra ki ISKCON Newcastle Yatra ki Premanande. All glories to the Islam devotees. All glories to the Islam devotees. All glories to the Islam devotees. All glories to Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Hare Krishna devotees.
Haribo!
Thank you kindly. I hope you're all well. I hope you're all happy in Krishna consciousness. I hope you've all chanted your rounds. Have you all chanted your rounds?
Yes.
Yes? Yes? You have? Very good, thank you. Did I chant, Prabhu? Chanted your rounds?
Chanted 16 times, that's it.
Another 48 to go. Bev, you chanted your rounds?
No, I've done about 3.
How many?
Yeah, about 3.
23.
No, 3. I was on the bus on the way to work.
Okay, devotees, Hare Krishna. How nice to be here with you all again this evening for the continuation of our seminar. It is a very short seminar on the Panchatattva. What a wonderful subject, the Panchatattva. Last night we talked about the Panchatattva as a sort of a group. 1 in 5, 5 in 1, something like that. 1 in 5 really, I suppose, but 5 in 1 too. So we talked a bit about that, then we talked a bit about Lord Chaitanya himself, who is the one, the main one, the central one. And look, there he is, there. He is watching us all, particularly those of you in the center. And he's wondering, why do some of these people not finish their rounds? Anyway, okay. So we talked about Lord Chaitanya, then we talked about Lord Nityananda. And the idea, of course, is not simply just to talk about each one individually as sort of, you could almost say, independent, transcendental personalities, but like we said, the idea is 1 in 5. We read from the 7th chapter of the Adi Leela last night, which is titled Lord Chaitanya in 5 features. Yes. They're not just 5 separate individuals, although on a certain level, of course, they are 5 individuals, but they're 5 aspects of one. And the more we understand the 5, the more we understand the one. Does that make sense, or does that sound a little abstruse? Yeah. Because they are parts of the one. And as we understand them individually, then we get greater insight into the one, who is Krishna or who is Lord Chaitanya. Yes. Because they're manifesting particular aspects of the nature of Lord Chaitanya. Like last night we were saying how Lord Nityananda, particularly, he embodies that mercy of Lord Chaitanya. As we just sang, Patita Pavana Hetu Tava Avatar, Narottam Das Thakur, says that you are the deliverer of the fallen. That is why you have come. And we mentioned that one verse, it appears in Chaitanya Charitamrita. It's actually from Hari Bhakti Vilas, from Sanatana Goswami. The 6 principles or 6 parts, 6 elements which make up surrender. And one of them was to accept the mission of the Lord, the desire of the Lord, and make it your desire. And because, in a certain sense, the essence of a person, who they are, what they are, is their desires. The type of person they are, their consciousness, their moods, like that. So if another person, specifically as a follower of that person, accepts that those moods and desires of the first person and makes them his or her own, there's a type of oneness. There's a type of oneness in terms of this very, the essence of their beings, who they are, their feelings, their desires, the way they see life, what they want from life. This is like the essence of who a person is, not just a man or a woman or a big one or a small one, but who they are and what their lives are. So like that, Lord Nityananda accepted the desires and aspirations of Lord Chaitanya and made them his own. And in that way, he really embodies, because he is an expansion, the first expansion of Lord Chaitanya. So he really embodies those aspects of Lord Chaitanya's nature. Therefore, there's great oneness between him and Lord Chaitanya. And we were looking at that particularly yesterday, in terms of that, the sort of the overall context, how the 5 are not just simply 5, but they're one in 5. So this evening we're going to go on and talk about the other members of the Panchatattva Advaita Acharya, Sri Gadadhar Pandit and Srivas Thakur, and try and bring out those types of points in relation to them, as well as just who they are and some of their pastimes and so on. So let us, you can just repeat after me, please. Jai Jai Sri Chaitanya Jai Nityananda.
Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda.
Jai Advaita Chandra Jai Gaura Bhakta Vrinda.
Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda.
Jai Jai Sri Chaitanya Jai Nityananda.
Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda.
Jai Advaita Chandra Jai Gaura Bhakta Vrinda.
Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda.
Jai Jai Sri Chaitanya Jai Nityananda.
Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda.
Jai Advaita Chandra Jai Gaura Bhakta Vrinda.
Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda.
So Advaita Acharya, in the context of the Panchatattva, well, let's just have a look again back there at Adi Leela chapter 7 for a minute or two, just to recap how Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami presents the members of the Panchatattva in relation to each other. Let's see here, where are we? Panchatattva, this is chapter 7, Adi Leela chapter 7, verse 6. Panchatattvatmakam Krishnam Bhakta Rupa Swarupakam Bhaktavataram Bhaktakyam Namami Bhakta Shaktikam. Let me offer my obeisances unto Lord Sri Krishna, who has manifested himself in 5 as a devotee, that's Lord Chaitanya, as the expansion of a devotee, that's Lord Nityananda, who is the first expansion of Lord Chaitanya. Lord Chaitanya being Krishna and Lord Nityananda being Lord Balaram, who is the first expansion of Lord Krishna. Then the incarnation of a devotee. This is Advaita Acharya. He's not as close as Lord Nityananda is. First expansion, like very complete. There's a little more separation between Advaita Acharya and Lord Chaitanya. So therefore he's described as being the incarnation of a devotee. Because, anyway, we'll talk about Advaita Acharya. He is a combination of Lord Shiva and Mahavishnu. Then a pure devotee and devotional energy. The pure devotee is actually Srivas, and the devotional energy is Gadadhar Pandit. Just the way this verse presents them, they're sort of around the other way. The pure devotee is Srivas, and the devotional energy is Gadadhar, who is Radharani, the pleasure potency of Lord Krishna. So, let me offer my obeisances unto Lord Sri Krishna, who has manifested himself in 5 as a devotee, expansion of a devotee, incarnation of a devotee, pure devotee, and devotional energy. So now, Advaita Acharya then, well, we just mentioned, he is Mahavishnu. You know, it's a little complicated actually, and we don't have really so much time for getting into intricacies. But Mahavishnu has 2 features. Mahavishnu has 2 features Let's just find the correct statement if I can. He is the, what is it now? He is the efficient cause and the material cause. So Lord Vishnu, this is now Adi Lila chapter 6, verses 14 and 15. Lord Vishnu, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, assumes two forms to create the material world with the efficient and material causes. Basically means the elements which make up the creation, material creation, and then the personality who then manipulates and works with those energies to bring it all into effect. So the next verse, I think, yes, next verse, verse 16 says, Lord Vishnu himself is the efficient cause of the material world, and Narayan, in the form of Sri Advaita, is the material cause. Verse 18, Lord Vishnu in his efficient aspect glances over the material energy, and Sri Advaita, as the material cause, creates the material world. Now, this could become a slightly complex discussion, actually. But let's not go into all the details and just say that Advaita Acharya is most specifically one part of Mahavishnu, a particular aspect of Mahavishnu, not exactly like the complete Mahavishnu, but he is the part of Mahavishnu who forms everything and is behind the process of creation, the actual process when the creation occurs. And then he's also related, he's also a partial an expansion of Lord Shiva. Lord Shiva also being an expansion of Mahavishnu. Sometime we could have a seminar about Lord Shiva. That's interesting. That's very interesting. But this is Advaita Acharya. He is a somewhat complex personality. Yeah. Lord Nityananda is kind of a little easier to understand. Advaita Acharya is not quite as easy to understand, but he's very wonderful and very great. And he appeared, Advaita Acharya appeared a generation before Lord Chaitanya. At least a generation, perhaps slightly more than a generation before Lord Chaitanya. So he was already, by the time Lord Chaitanya appeared, he was already an adult, living in that area, Navadvip area, and sometimes in Shantipur, which is not so far away from Navadvip. And he was already one of the leaders of the devotee community, if not the leader, actually. But at the very least, he was one of the leaders of the devotee community by the time Lord Chaitanya first appeared. And he appeared in that way at that time, a generation or say 25, maybe even 30 years. But let's say at least 25 years before Lord Chaitanya appeared. He appeared at that time for very specific reasons. It was part of the plan of the Lord. He was like an initial emissary, someone like that, who came a forerunner, who came before to set the scene and establish certain things and prepare the ground a bit for the Lord to come and to really establish the mission fully. So this was Advaita Acharya then. He came like that, and he did like that. And he, let's see, there, he, he's well known for praying. In fact, that song we sang mentioned that he was crying out for Lord Chaitanya to appear, or for Lord Krishna to appear. This is mentioned in the Adi Leela, chapter 3. Advaita Acharya was thinking to himself, Sri Krishna, who's very affectionate toward his devotees, sells himself to a devotee who offers him merely a tulsi leaf and a palmful of water. Advaita Acharya considered the meaning of the verse in this way. Not finding any way to repay the debt he owes to one who offers him a tulsi leaf and water, Lord Krishna thinks, there is no wealth in my possession that is equal to a tulsi leaf and water. So therefore, Advaita Acharya, looking around and seeing that in this material world it is so difficult to establish Krishna consciousness and really get people to become devotees. It is not easy at all. And even himself feeling, even though he's this, as we said, a type of expansion of Mahavishnu, and he's a type of expansion of Lord Shiva, but still, even he felt, I can't do it. I can't do it. Spread Krishna consciousness, change the world, change the people, get them to accept Sanatana Dharma, meaning Krishna consciousness. So therefore he prayed, and he offered tulsi leaves and water, Ganges water, to his Shalagram Shila, and prayed. He didn't just pray, but he cried out for the Lord to appear, Krishna, because only you will be able to save these people. So therefore it is said that at least one way of looking on the appearance of Lord Chaitanya is that Lord Chaitanya appeared on the request of Advaita Acharya. There are also other ways we mentioned last night, some other ways on looking at the appearance of Lord Chaitanya in terms of how he came, why he came, what stimulated him to come. But this was definitely one that Advaita Acharya called for him. Having already appeared a reasonable number of years, a generation or so, before Lord Chaitanya, and already being a very active devotee and preacher. There is not so much information about the life of Advaita Acharya. There is some. His father was named Kuvera Pandit. His mother's name was Nabi. Devi. And even as a child, he was a great devotee and like an exclusive devotee of Krishna. No interest in any other deities, any other processes. There's one story how Advaita Acharya, as a young boy, went to a Kali temple. Kali temple with the son of some sort of local king. In those days there were many rulers. They had little small areas, but still they were considered kings. So he went with one prince to a Kali temple. The prince offered obeisances. Advaita did not to Mother Kali. Not because he was disrespectful, but just he was so fascinated to see the deity. And the prince, when the prince got up and saw Advaita had not offered obeisances, he got very upset. And he tried to verbally chastise Advaita Acharya. But Advaita Acharya turned to him and practically face to face, with tremendous spiritual potency. Can you imagine the potency of Mahavishnu, Lord Shiva? Advaita Acharya, as a young boy, said to him, you know what he said? He said, Hari Bol! You know what happened to the prince? The prince fainted and fell unconscious. And he's just lying on the ground. The word got back to the father, the king. He came running down. He was very disturbed. Advaita Acharya took some Vishnu Charanamrita, put it in the prince's mouth, and he was revived. He was a very powerful person, even as a child. Another time, there was some Kali festival. And again, Advaita Acharya, for whatever reason, did not offer obeisances. The king tried to chastise Advaita. Advaita said, I only offer obeisances to the Supreme Lord. The king got some court pundit to come and debate with. What's happening here? Why we're losing power. To debate with Advaita, who's still just a young boy, and teach him that we should worship demigods. We should worship demigods. Don't be don't.
For sheep, I think it's.
Haribol. Don't. Haribol. Don't be one of those Hare Krishna fanatics from the Hare Krishna temple in Newcastle who tell you you should only worship Krishna and not Durga or Shiva or even Ganesh or even Kali Ma. Just worship Krishna. But Advaita Acharya defeated this pundit. Advaita's father, the pundit got very upset, the king got upset. Advaita's father tried to convince Advaita that, just agree with them, be nice. Be nice, agree with them. Don't create a whole controversy. And Advaita, and so please offer your obeisances to Kali. Advaita Acharya said, well, if you order me to, I will. He went right up in front of Kali and offered obeisances. Kali, the deity of Kali, exploded into pieces. Such was the power of Advaita Acharya, even as a child. In Chaitanya Charitamrita and Chaitanya Bhagavat, there are a number of pastimes of Advaita Acharya where he features quite prominently. Let's see. Yes. You know, when Lord Chaitanya's older brother, Vishvarup, left home and took sannyas, Mother Sachi, the mother of Lord Chaitanya and Vishvarup, she became extremely upset that my son, my oldest son, has just gone away and left home and that's it, and will never see him again. She was very disturbed. And Vishvarup had been associating with Advaita Acharya. Vishvarup had become a devotee through the association of Advaita Acharya, and he was really inspired by the association of Advaita Acharya. After school, he would just go there and just hear Krishna Katha from Advaita Acharya. So Mother Sachi blamed Advaita influence. My oldest son has left home, rejected me, and will never see him again, and it's your fault. She didn't express it so openly, but definitely within her mind, within her heart, she was feeling like that. Chaitanya Bhagavat describes how, when, we mentioned last night, when the Narya and Sachi hesitated, she didn't just go for it. She hesitated because, she's a woman, she's an old, like a middle-aged woman, middle-aged or even probably around 50 plus, older lady from a very respectable background, a widow, and now here she's meant to throw herself at the lotus feet of a man. It's a little, abnormal, you could say. So she hesitated, and Lord Chaitanya told her, you do this now. If you don't, you'll fall down. That's a bit of a dramatic thing to say to Mother Sachi, isn't it? The mother of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But that's what Lord Chaitanya said. If you don't do it, you will fall down. So she did. She just went down, crash, and grabbed the lotus feet of Advaita Acharya and just rubbed her head against those lotus feet and got up. And Lord Chaitanya was very happy with her. And Advaita Acharya got up and he asked, what happened now? He was not really conscious that this had happened, but he was conscious something was a little extraordinary. So that's one pastime with Advaita Acharya. Another pastime I can tell you, if you're ready for it. I don't know if you're ready for it because it's quite a pastime. It's a bit dramatic. It really is. Fasten your seatbelts, please. That Advaita Acharya, he became frustrated that Lord Chaitanya, he is my Lord. He is the original Supreme Personality of Godhead. And who am I compared to him? I'm just a very lesser type of expansion or avatar. I'm just not in the same category, really. But the problem is, and therefore, because I'm really in a lower position, I should bow down and offer obeisances to him. But the problem is, he's younger than me. So he's quick. He's nimble. He can move. So whenever we meet, he offers obeisances to me first. And I have to stand there and accept his obeisances. And I feel so uncomfortable. I really don't like that. So I want to do something to force Lord Chaitanya to accept me, to treat me as a junior. Yeah. Treat me as a junior, someone who is subservient to him. So what to do? So he adopted a very extraordinary strategy. Don't any of you, none of us should try this. In order to force Lord Chaitanya to treat him not with respect, but to treat him like a junior, Advaita Acharya adopted the practice of preaching Mayavad. Mayavad? Impersonalism. It is all one. We are all God. Yes. Everything is God. Which of course is very much opposed to the actual Vaishnava philosophy, which is Krishna is God, and we are all subservient to him. We're all his eternal servants, and he is God. And we're not all one, because we're not equal to him at all. Ekale Ishvara Krishna Arasava Vricha. There's only one master, that is Krishna. Everyone else is his servant. So Advaita Acharya, he adopted this very unusual strategy and started preaching impersonalism, just to anger Lord Chaitanya and get Lord Chaitanya to treat him a little severely, as a senior may sometimes treat a junior, to teach him a lesson. So he started preaching like this, and Lord Chaitanya, some devotees started reporting to Lord Chaitanya that Advaita Acharya is doing this. And Lord Chaitanya, when he first heard it, he thought, no, this is just some rumor, some gossip. It's not like that, it can't be. But then another person, and another, and another, and then quite a few were coming and saying, actually, this is what's going on. Advaita Acharya has started preaching Mayavad, impersonalism, that we're all God, everyone is God, everything is God, it is all one. So Lord Chaitanya went there with Lord Nityananda and Haridas Thakur. They went to Shantipur, actually, and they arrived there. And Advaita Acharya came running out and said, have you heard the good news? The good news is, it's all one. Everyone is God. Everything is God. Isn't that wonderful? He's just goading Lord Chaitanya. And so he was saying like that. And Lord Nityananda asked him, so what is superior, knowledge of bhakti or knowledge of Brahman, the sort of undifferentiated spiritual nature. And Advaita Acharya said, well, of course, that's easy. Knowledge of bhakti without knowledge of Brahman is weak. It needs to be strengthened by that knowledge of Brahman, that it's all one. And that was too much for Lord Chaitanya. Lord Chaitanya said, listen, I came to this world because you asked me. And now you're doing this to me? How can you do this? And you know what happened? Lord Chaitanya attacked him physically and smashed him to the ground and jumped on top of him and started punching him and hitting him and slapping him, really, quite violently. And his wife, Sita Devi, she was very distressed. And she said to Lord Nityananda, you got to help. My husband's an old man. He may die. Lord Nityananda was just, well, such is life. What can I do? And she appealed to Haridas Thakur, you've got to help him. And Haridas Thakur said, I'm an old man too, what can I do? Because he was also an old man. And Lord Chaitanya's hitting Advaita Acharya hard. Oh yeah, it was quite a scene. And each time Lord Chaitanya would hit him, bang! Advaita Acharya would just call out, Haribo! Bang! Haribo! And eventually Lord Chaitanya stopped. And Advaita Acharya said to Lord Chaitanya, thank you so much, my Lord. This is the best day of my life. Because you have treated me as your junior. If you were seeing yourself as my junior, you would never do this to me. But now you are taking that position that you are my Lord, I am your servant, and you are chastising me. Thank you so much. Haribol, what can you say? So Bhaktivinoda Thakur said, he who chastises me is my friend. He who flatters me is my enemy. Whew, Hare Krishna. Okay, so that's a little something, just a little bit, about Advaita Acharya. How about Gadadhar? Let us consider the personality of Gadadhar. Who is Gadadhar? And, we're looking, of course, in this context of the Panchatattva are 5 parts of one. There are also 5 individuals. It's all Achintya Bhed Abhed Tattva. So, yeah. So they're 5, but they're also 5 parts of one. So what part of the one is Gadadhar? He is the spiritual energy, the internal potency. Actually, the pleasure potency of Lord Krishna, of Lord Chaitanya. He is Srimati Radharani. Yes. So, a very important part of the one. A very important part of the one. Because Srimati Radharani is directly just part of Krishna. One time Srila Prabhupada asked devotees in a class, what do you think of this? Prabhupada asked, who is God? What sort of question was that to a whole room full of devotees? practicing devotees. And everyone, of course, went, Krishna is God. Prabhupada said, no, Krishna is not God. Radha Krishna is God. Yes, Radha Krishna. Srimati Radharani is part of Krishna. His capacity to enjoy, his pleasure potency, but now placed outside him to make the experience of that enjoyment even greater. So Gadadha, this is Gadadha. Gadadha is Radharani. And Gadadha, but having said that, Gadadha is a type of, is Radharani, but Radharani in a certain type of mood which is quite unusual for Radharani. Radharani, normally in Krishna Lila, Radharani is very assertive, very strong. She is a tough girl. And if Krishna tries to be funny with her, she may chastise him and give him the sauce and just, sort of, you could say, put him in his place. She's very strong sometimes, often with Krishna, very strong. But Gadadha, who is Radharani, is somewhat different. At least does not display that strength. But rather Gadadha is very submissive, quiet, submissive, cooperative, never argumentative, practically never argumentative with Lord Chaitanya. And who is Lord Chaitanya? Well, Sri Krishna Chaitanya, Radha Krishna, Nahe Anya. Lord Chaitanya is Krishna, but Lord Chaitanya is also Radharani. How could this be? One person is, existing in two forms, in close association with each other. Anyway, this is very transcendental, extremely transcendental. But the fact is that Lord Chaitanya is Radha and Krishna. Radharani is present in Lord Chaitanya. Not just Radharani lent her mentality, something like that. She is personally present in the body of Lord Chaitanya. Therefore, Lord Chaitanya is golden. Because Radharani is there and Radharani is golden. It's not that Krishna has become golden himself, but this is because of Radharani's presence. And it is said, this is a slight, little esoteric point, but the Radharani in Lord Chaitanya has stolen, they say, the effulgence of Radharani from Radharani in Gadadha. The effulgence which includes that sort of strength of character. And therefore, Gadadha is Radharani, but in a slightly kind of unusual condition, not having that powerful character that Srimati Radharani has, and that Srimati Radharani within Lord Chaitanya had. How does that sound, devotees? Have I lost you there? Are you completely bewildered? Or 75%? Or is that making sense? I hope it makes a bit of sense. Yeah, so therefore, Gadadhar as Radharani is Radharani, but Radharani, at least either you could say, who does not have that, the sort of the spark, the fire of Radharani, or is not displaying that. You could look at it either way. Either she doesn't have or is not displaying. Whereas that, the fire of her character, is there in Lord Chaitanya. So therefore, Gadadhar, even though he is Srimati Radharani, he is definitely Radharani, but he's much more passive and gentle and sort of restrained, like that type of personality. He and Lord Chaitanya were friends from childhood. Yeah. They went to school together. They were together every day, basically. And we mentioned last night, another thing we don't really have time to go into in depth, but Lord Chaitanya in his childhood, up till the time pretty much that his father passed away, Lord Chaitanya was neither manifesting himself as God, at least on very rare occasions only, neither was he manifesting himself as a devotee, but rather he was at least externally conducting himself like a very incredibly intelligent but extremely argumentative and sort of facetious, really cheeky, irritating young Brahmin boy. Yeah, very brilliant, but prone to become aggressive, at least verbally aggressive, and get into arguments with people and just make fools of them because he was so intelligent. And he used to do this with Gadadhar. Now, if it was Radha and Krishna in Vrindavan, and Krishna tried to do that, which he tries to do sometimes, he would not get away with that. He just wouldn't. But here, in Chaitanya Leela, Lord Chaitanya would get away with it all the time. And Gadadhar might offer a few words in opposition, but then he'd just keep quiet, and Lord Chaitanya would tell him, "What do you know, you fool?" That sort of thing. And Gadadhar was a devotee as a child. Very, very nice devotee. And he and other of their school friends, like Mukunda Dutt particularly, who was also a devotee, would preach to Lord Chaitanya from time to time. But come on, why don't you become a devotee? You make a good devotee. Get into the philosophy. It's really amazing. Get into the kirtan. And Lord Chaitanya, Nimai, as he was called in those days, would just mock them. You want me to become a devotee and jump up and down, Hari Hari Bol, and make a fool of myself? You want me to do that? Forget it. You guys can do that. I'm not that stupid. But they persevered. They kept on. From time to time they tried. Each time Lord Chaitanya would just, let them have it. Eventually, one time, Gadadhar and Mukunda said to Lord Chaitanya as a schoolboy, "Come on, become a devotee. It's great. You'll like it. You'll make a very good devotee. And Lord Chaitanya said, all right, all right, all right, all right. If you insist, just to keep you happy, all right, I will become a devotee. Okay, I'm going to become a devotee. And they were shocked. Wow, he's going to become a devotee? That's amazing. Lord Chaitanya said, yeah, I'm going to become a devotee. And when I become a devotee, I am going to become a very special devotee. Actually, you will never have seen a devotee like me. I will become the best devotee of all the devotees of all time. So now Gadadhar and Mukunda are thinking, oh my God, this fellow, he's too much. Lord Chaitanya told them, listen, I will become such a great devotee. Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva will come and offer obeisances to me. Oh, he's too much. So, yeah, and then shortly after that, Lord Chaitanya started to manifest himself as a devotee. This is like in their teenage years. There are nice descriptions of different pastimes of Gadadhar with Lord Chaitanya. There's a very nice one from their school days in Prema Vivarta of Jagadananda Pandit. And with Gadadhar and Jagadananda Pandit, who is the author of Prema Vivarta. He says they were walking, the three of them were walking through the Navadvip area one day after school. And suddenly a parrot came. And the parrot was sitting in a bakul tree. And Lord Chaitanya grabbed the parrot, caught hold of the parrot, and said, you are Vyasadev's son. Who's that? Shukadev. Shukadev. You are Vyasadev's son. You should be singing the glories of Radha and Krishna. The parrot started singing, Gora Hari, Gora Hari, Gora Hari. And Lord Chaitanya, acting angry, sort of threw away the bird. You get out of here. But the bird continued singing, Gora, Gora, Gora. And Lord Chaitanya told him, listen, parrot, this is Vrindavan. Chant Radha and Krishna loudly so everyone can hear. And the parrot said, Vrindavan has been transformed into Navadvip. And in you and Gadadhar, I see Radha and Krishna. So therefore, you are my Krishna, Gadadhar is my Radha, and I'm just going to carry on singing like that. So that's described in Prema Vivarta. So then eventually, Lord Chaitanya really manifested himself as a devotee. After his father passed away, and Lord Chaitanya went to Gaya to perform the last rites for his father and was initiated by Ishvara Puri. We talked about that last night. So he came back as a God-intoxicated person. No one could believe it. All he's doing is just going to the devotees and grabbing them. What's your name, Guru? Keshavananda. I forgot, sorry. He just grabbed him. Keshavananda. tell me, how will I get Krishna? Where will I find Krishna? Help me, please. So he did this one day with Gadadhar. The Lord approached Gadadhar and asked him, where is that blackish boy, Krishna, with the beautiful golden colored cloth? Where is he? And Gadadhar said, well, he's within your heart. He's always in your heart. And Lord Chaitanya immediately grabbed his chest and started ripping at his chest and cutting his chest. I want Krishna. I'm going to get him out. Yeah. And so Gadadhar grabbed him and stopped him and said, be patient. Krishna will come soon. Don't worry. Just be patient. So when Gadadhar did that, Mother Sachi was very pleased that you've saved my son. And Mother Sachi told Gadadhar, you must stay with him all the time to look after him. So this is Radha with Krishna, you can say. You can see it like that. Do not leave him. Never go anywhere else. So, there's another famous pastime, it's really quite amazing, of Gadadhar. Lord Chaitanya is not exactly directly in it, but it's a very important pastime. You know, just a little while ago, some few weeks ago, was the disappearance day of Gadadhar. I think it was disappearance. And Bhaktivinoda Thakur, we normally tell this pastime on that day. That Mukunda Dat, we mentioned Mukunda Dat, another very close associate of Lord Chaitanya. He and Gadadhar were very close. Very close. And Mukunda, one day, came to Gadadhar. Now they're like young men, maybe around 20 years old. And Mukunda came to Gadadhar one day and said, there is a great devotee who has just arrived in town. His name is Pundarik Vidyanidhi. And I want to introduce you to him because he is just a wonderful devotee and you must meet him. You'll love him. So Gadadhar agreed, yes, of course, let's go. So they arrived where Pundarik Vidyanidhi was staying. They walked in. Gadadhar was shocked. He couldn't believe it. What am I seeing? There was Pundarik Vidyanidhi dressed in extremely opulent clothes. You've heard, right? Have you heard of Pierre Cardin dhotis? Christian Dior kurtas. Have you heard of them? His dhoti and kurta were in another dimension altogether, beyond these guys. Super opulent. And with jewelry, kilos of gold, bangles and necklaces and anklets and whatnot, and gems and just extreme opulence. And there were some beautiful young ladies sort of here and there around him. Some were fanning him. One was dropping grapes into his mouth. And he was catching them in his mouth and just apparently relaxing in a very like extreme material type of situation. And Gadadhar, he was just too astonished. Gadadhar said, why did Mukunda bring me here to meet this person? This is ridiculous. He told me this is a great devotee. Come on, be serious. And he wanted to leave. But Mukunda noticed that, the mood of Gadadhar. And Mukunda said, wait a minute. Just wait a minute. Just watch this. And Mukunda recited a verse from Srimad Bhagavatam, actually. He recited Srimad Bhagavatam 3, 2, 23. 3 to 23. Aho! This is Uddhava speaking, lamenting just after Lord Krishna has left this world. Is it up there? 3 to 23. Aho bhakiyam stanakala krutam jigham sayapayayad apyasati lebhe gatim daitri uchitam tatonyam kam vadayalum sharanam vrajena. Alas, how shall I take shelter of one more merciful than he, who granted the position of mother to a she-demon, Putana, although she was unfaithful, and she prepared deadly poison to be sucked from her breast. Is it there? Yeah. So Uddhava's lamenting, now Krishna's gone, how will I find someone who can be merciful to me now? And just see how merciful was Krishna. He gave Putana the position of a nurse in Goloka Vrindavan. So when Mukunda Dutt recited that verse, Pundarik Vijayanidhi, he's lying there in the midst of all this. Suddenly, he became sort of shocked. And he started screaming out, Aho Bhakiyam, Aho Bhakiyam, Aho Bhakiyam. And he fell off this couch he was lying on. And he started rolling around, completely overwhelmed, in total ecstasy, in separation from Krishna. Alas, alas, alas. How will I find someone who could be merciful to me now that Krishna's gone? And Gadadhar Pandit saw this. Imagine you got a room maybe like this size or something like that. And there's Pundarik Vidyanidhi. He just rolls along, smashes down the camera. Camera goes flying, bashes through the ladies, knocks over the mridanga, smashes the computer, crashes against the wall, and then comes rolling back. And then stands up and collapses and then screams and crying uncontrollably. And just lamenting, how will I find someone who can be merciful to me now that Krishna's not here? So when Gadadhar saw that, he realized, wow, what a mistake I made. What a mistake. How could I have done that? And he felt so bad. And he just stood there while Pundarik Vijayanidhi went rolling up and down and stood up and collapsed and fell over and knocked people over and broke things. And it went on, devotees. Listen. Ekute, Suni, Sunu, for 3 hours. For 3 hours. And Gadadhar's just watching this and thinking, what have I done? How could I have thought like that? It is just too offensive. And at the end he concluded, there's only one way I can make up for this. I have to accept this person as my spiritual master. So he became, if I remember correctly, the only initiated disciple of Pundarik Vidyanidhi. And they were very, very close. And the interesting point, or one other very interesting point, is Pundarik Vidyanidhi in Krishna Leela is Maharaj Rishabhanu, the father of Srimati Radharani. So again, now in Chaitanya Leela, they're being reunited in this way. So this is Gadadhar. This is Gadadhar. What a transcendental personality. You know, there's all sorts of other things. Let's have a look, see here what now. Oh, yes. I'll just mention one other thing. Gadadhar, when Lord Chaitanya went to Jagannath Puri, Gadadhar Pandit went with him and stayed there. And Gadadhar took a vow of, it's called Kshetra Sannyas. It's not actually like an initiation of sannyas. It's an internal personal vow that I will stay in this Kshetra. Kshetra in this context meaning in this holy place. I will stay here and I will not go anywhere, ever. This is called Kshetra Sannyas. So he took Kshetra Sannyas, at least he internally accepted like that. And Lord Chaitanya was there, and of course it was very blissful. But then Lord Chaitanya went to Vrindavan. And Gadadhar decided, I am going with you. And Lord Chaitanya tried to preach to him, listen, you have taken Kshetra Sannyas. You cannot come. And Gadadhar would not listen. So Lord Chaitanya said, because Gadadhar at that time was worshipping Tonta Gopinath, famous deity in Jagannath Puri. And Lord Chaitanya told him that you have to stay and worship Gopinath. And Gadadhar told him that one renders service to Gopinath 1,000,000 times by serving your lotus feet. So I am coming with you. You have taken a vow to stay in the holy place. Wherever you are, that is a holy place. Gadadhar is trying to argue. It's a bit of the Radharani spirit, but not too much. And eventually, Lord Chaitanya said, listen, if you come with me, I will be responsible. It will be my fault. Whatever reactions may be there, I'll get. And Gadadhar said, don't worry, I will not come with you. I will walk separately on the other side of the street, something like that. So, and Gadadhar said, I will go separately. I will go to see Sachimata. So he went a little separately. And eventually they arrived in, what's it called? What's that place called? Where the sun temple is? Konarak. Katak. And he came in and he met Lord Chaitanya. You know, here I am. And Lord Chaitanya got really upset with him. So, and told him, if you want my happiness, if that's what you want, go back to Puri. And Gadadhar surrendered. and went back to Puri. If it had been Srimati Radharani, it would have been different. Yeah. So those some pastimes. Gadadhar with Lord Chaitanya. And now the last member of the Panchatattva is Srivas. Srivas Thakur. Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda, Sri Advaita Gadadhar, Srivas Adi Gaura Bhaktivinoda. And then there's the Adi Gaura Bhaktivinoda. It means Srivas and all the devotees who are followers of Lord Chaitanya. But Srivas is the first. So he is the member of the Panchatattva. And he was very dear devotee of Lord Chaitanya. Srivas is Narada Muni. He's Narada Muni. Sometimes Lord Chaitanya and the devotees would have dramas. And the devotees would act like Krishna Leela dramas. And the devotees would act who they were in Krishna Leela. Yes. And Srivas would act as Narada Muni. And his wife, Malini, the other ladies would say, you know, your husband plays Narada Muni so nicely. It's amazing. Because he is Narada Muni. And Lord Chaitanya, he's such an important person that Lord Chaitanya chose him and chose his house as the place for those nighttime kirtans. Just after Lord Chaitanya had come back from Gaya, doing the last rites for his father, and just when Lord Chaitanya started to manifest himself as a devotee. So for 1 year they had kirtans every night, all night, in the house, in the courtyard of the house of Srivas Thakur. And there are a number of really amazing, wonderful pastimes there. One time, the kirtan is like earlier evening, the kirtan is building up. And one of Srivas Thakur's sons died in the house. Somewhere, sort of in one of the back rooms. The son died. And Srivas was there in the kirtan, but then he saw his wife and some of the ladies. Seems like they're upset. So he went and spoke to them and found out, our son has just died. And his wife Malini is beginning to sort of panic a bit. And Srivas told him, listen, you don't express anything. Just act like normal. Because we don't want to disturb the Lord in his kirtan. So just carry on. Everything is normal. That's all. And we'll deal with this later. So they did. And the whole night the kirtan went on as usual. This amazing, incredible kirtan. And then in the morning when the kirtan had finished, Lord Chaitanya saw some of the ladies, they appeared disturbed. And he asked Srivas, what happened? Something happened. What is it? And Srivas said, well, actually, the thing is that in the evening, one of our sons died. And Lord Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda was there with him. They said, why didn't you tell us? You should have told us. Why didn't you tell us? And Srivas said, no, I didn't want to disturb your kirtan. And Lord Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda They were so pleased with Srivas. They appreciated his concern for their pleasure and not wanting to bother them, even with something so serious. But Lord Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda told him that we will be your sons. You've lost one son, now you've gained two. We will be your sons. So then they conducted themselves like that. And particularly Lord Nityananda, he conducted himself as the son of Malini. Lord Nityananda at the time is plus or minus 35 years old. Not less than 35. He would come every day and be breastfed by Malini. Haribol. So he would act just like a little boy. Yeah, although he was 35 years old. Another time, I'll just mention one other pastime. One very strict brahmachari, not actually a devotee, but very rigid, very austere, celibate, that type of Brahmin type person, but not a devotee. He approached Srivas Thakur and said, we hear the kirtan coming from your house. Every night we hear this amazing kirtan. Can I come in and watch it? And Srivas said, well, no, you can't, because you're not a devotee. And Lord Chaitanya does not allow any non-devotees to come in. And the brahmachari was very upset. And he begged him, and he told him, listen, I am very austere, completely celibate, and I only live on milk and fruit. So please let me come in and observe. And Srivas said, oh, all right. So he hid earlier before the kirtan, before everyone came. Srivas hid this brahmachari in one big pot, like big pot, over on the side there by the courtyard somewhere. And then everyone came, and the kirtan began, and the kirtan built up and up. And Lord Chaitanya stopped the kirtan. Something is wrong. There is a non-devotee here. Did any of you bring a non-devotee? And everyone was like, no. And Srivas, did you let a non-devotee? No. So they began the kirtan again. And again it built up and up and up and up. But then Lord Chaitanya stopped the kirtan and said, I just don't feel the same ecstasy. There is a non-devotee here. Who has let a non-devotee in? Srivas. You must have. You let a non-devotee in, didn't you? And Srivas said, well, actually, in this pot, there's a brahmachari. And out popped the brahmachari. And Srivas, and Lord Chaitanya said, he is not a devotee. You let a non-devotee in. And Srivas said, he is a very austere brahmachari, fully celibate, and he only eats fruit and milk. That's all. Very austere, good brahmachari. And Lord Chaitanya just let the brahmachari have it. You think you can please me by eating fruit and drinking milk? You think that'll please me? Forget it. And he really chastised the brahmachari. And the brahmachari fell at Lord Chaitanya's lotus feet. And he became a devotee. And then he was allowed to stay in the kirtan. Hare Krishna. Shri Panchatattva ki
Jai!
Shri Panchatattva ki
Jai!
Shri Panchatattva ki
Jai!
ISKCON Newcastle Yatra ki
Jai!
Go Premanande.
Haribol! His Holiness Bhakti Caitanya Swami ki Jai! So, we'd like to thank Maharaj very much for giving a very condensed, concise, two-part seminar on the Panchatattva. As he said, we could have had just a seminar for 1 week on Lord Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda, so it's not easy to get it all squeezed into 2 seminars. But anyway, I hope you will all agree that it was really nice. And for me, it's left me wanting more. It's whet my appetite to hear more. So we'll hope he'll come back again next year and continue to share the nectar. And anyway, we'll say more about the rest of the weekend after the kirtan, but we'd like to just do a little chanting now. We were hearing about how the Panchatattva, they would come together and they would have kirtan all night. We're not going to have it all night. I'm sure some of you are hungry. Put your hands up if you're hungry. Okay, shout Haribol if you're hungry. Haribol!
Okay,
that's good, because we've cooked a feast. But we'd like to do a little chanting now, try and enter into the mood of the Panchatattva by chanting Hare Krishna. We'd like to ask Govardhan Mataji, who's come all the way up from Scarborough with her good husband Nitai Chand Prabhu, and she loves to chant Hare Krishna, so we'd like to ask if you'd like to chant Hare Krishna, maybe for, 15 minutes, and then we'll have prasadam. Okay. Shri Shri Panchatattva ki Jai! Shri Prabhupada ki Jai! Shri Harinam Sankirtan Yogya ki Jai! His Holiness Bhakti Caitanya Swami ki Jai! Nitai Gaura Pramanande. Bhakti